Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I said earlier on the program, the Bronx Music Hall is one of the great new places in the Bronx. I ain't kidding. And as a result, we're bringing two great people with us. It is filmmaker and teacher Pam Sporn. Nice to see you, Pam. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
And my longtime friend, the maestro of the Bronx, 9-time Grammy nominee, drummer, percussionist, composer, arranger, band leader, educator, great Bronx guy. It is Bobby Sanabria. Nice to see you, Bobby.
Same here, Gary, as always.
Pam, let's get started with you. This came for me out of nowhere. I'm sure you've been working on it for a long time. The film is called Cuban Roots, Bronx Stories. What made you say, hey, this is a story worth telling?
So this film, actually, that I'm so honored that is being shown at the Bronx Music Hall, a gorgeous facility with wonderful people. The film we're celebrating its 25th anniversary, and we're doing a 4K restoration, so it's nice and pristine. The film goes back to my 45-year relationship with a Cuban American family, which I'm married into. One of the protagonists is my husband, Pablo.
I was going to say, so now they're your family. It's not an outside family.
Right, yeah. So
okay.
I love listening to stories, and oral history is a love of mine. And so going from the minute I got to know the Foster family, and they're a family of storytellers, and I would listen, and I always say to my husband, you should really write a book, because it's like just fascinating, the travels from Jamaica to Cuba to the South Bronx and all this kind of 60s turmoil, the Vietnam War. And they weren't writing a book. So I said, well, I'm going to do a film.
There you go.
Worked on it in the 90s, and it was finished in 2000. We had a premiere at the Havana Film Festival back in the year 2000. And it's been it's been shown by many, many teachers and places around. It's been distributed by Third World Newsreel all these years. And I recently decided to have it restored, brought it up to nice new high resolution, and pitched the idea to Elena Martinez and Bobby to see if we could do the re-release.
And here we are. What I want to ask you, and maybe the answers are so obvious, what makes it relevant today, even though a quarter century ago is when it originally appeared? Like it really, I mean, I saw the trailer, it really is relevant today. And what about it still resonates in 2025?
I think it's several things. One is the whole issue of Afro-Latinidad is still a question that's being dealt with within the Latino community. The issue of race is still being dealt with in Cuba. And it's not the same as it was in the 60s when my husband came here from Cuba. It's not the same as the year 2000 when the film was still released, but it's still a discussion. So it's still a relevant piece. Secondly, the issue of immigration and U.S.-Cuban relations and how that impacts families, family separation, how policy of governments impacts real people. That's still just as vibrant and important topic as it was before.
We're going to show the trailer. I'm going to weigh in on one of the things that I like, only having seen the trailer, did not see the film. That of course, is coming up at the Bronx Music Hall. But the notion of diversity in the Bronx, the Hispanic cultures that are all over the Bronx, and we have cultures from all over the world in the Bronx. People don't walk around and say, oh, Cubans in the Bronx, much like they would say Puerto Ricans or Dominicans in the Bronx or even Jamaicans in the Bronx, etc. But you have established through this, and it was clear to me, that there is a Cuban family, so to speak, in the Bronx, right? And that's one of the things here is to put the flag in the ground.
Absolutely. And
okay.
That history goes back. I mean, as Bobby can talk about and Elena, about the history of El Club Cubano Interamericano and the dance hall, the programs they had on Prospect by 156, and
Got it.
You
I want to show the whole trailer. So
Okay.
let's show the trailer. Then we'll come back, and then Bobby's going to talk about number one, the Cuban Roots in the Bronx, Cuban music in the Bronx, and then the other great things going on at the Bronx Music Hall. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, your first look, as it was my first look at Cuban Roots, Bronx Stories.
My name is Pablo Elliot Foster Carrion. You see me here with my dad, my tia Diana, and my tia Ruben. They are the griots passing down the history of the Cuban side of my family.
Me siento como un americano. Vine aquí a los 10 años. Tengo más de 35 años en este país.
It will be known as the group of people who left the land when people were struggling after the revolution.
We left because you got 7 kids, a mother, and the U.S. threatening to invade Cuba, which they did. You know, the Bay of Pigs.
The Bay of Pigs and La Playa de Girón was, I think, one of the most memorable experiences for me towards the end of my stay in Cuba.
So I have to say that as soon as we arrived in Miami, we were segregated. The white Cubans went one way and the black Cubans went another way.
One of the things that I remember about coming to this neighborhood is that I felt, oh, now we're safe. Nobody can invade the United States.
Yeah, it was a tough neighborhood, one of the toughest neighborhoods.
We considered ourselves the same because we were black, so we mixed with the blacks, and we spoke Spanish. So we
mixed with the Spanish.
I know, but they in their minds, they were separate.
Because when I think of Cuba, you know, I think about all these singers, Benny Moré, Orquesta Aragón, and all the things we did.
Para mí Cuba, aún como muchacho, había canciones en Cuba en ese entonces que me daba una cosa en mi vida, un aire, que todo el mundo sí estaba enamorado.
Nunca se me olvida Cuba. Quiero regresar a Cuba.
After 33 years in the U.S., neither my father nor any of his siblings had gone back to visit Cuba.
It gets me angry when they say you can't travel to the place. You know, 33 years enough of this separation, and I think it's about time we reach out. And, you know, there's a lot of memories there, you know, a lot of things that you would like to see. And I think for me now, it's about time.
Vámonos con Rubén, Pablo y Diana, que vamos a ver a tía Catá. Y luego nos vamos para Oriente, y después para Cienfuegos, y luego para Matanzas, ¿ok? Y seguimos por ahí para Las Villas.
Ay, Pablo. Mi Pablo.
So we're gonna go.
Entonces, ¿cuándo más o menos vas a venir?
Ah, no sé
Bueno,
cuánto,
¿cuánto
depende.
tienes las cosas
Sí.
preparadas?
Ajá,
Ok.
está bien. Pero te voy a escribir.
Yes.
This film is my family's reflection on cultural, racial, and political identity, what was left behind in Cuba and what was discovered in the Bronx. Taking this journey with my family has made me want to claim as my own the history of the struggle for justice and equality that people have waged in Cuba and that my family has joined in the United States. One thing left for my generation of forces to do is to touch Cuban soil. Pisar tierra cubana.
All right, there we go. Congratulations, Pam, on doing something that is eternal. And you know, the thing that I just loved, which was right at the top of that, was we came to the Bronx and we felt safe in the Bronx because we felt the comfort. Bobby, the influence of Cuban music on your work. You, of course, reach into many different diasporas. Talk to me just briefly, because I want to get to some other stuff about Cuban music.
Well, the influence on me has been ubiquitous, and not only on me, but all Bronxites, all New Yorkers, because the sound of Cuban music is really the pulse of New York City in terms of Latin music. Ever since 1930, when the Don Aspiazu Havana Casino Orchestra came to perform in New York City on Broadway, and the rest is history. And I'm wearing a T-shirt right here of the great Mario Bauza, my old boss from Cuba, from La Habana, specifically from the barrio of Pogolotti in La Habana. He is the father of the fusion of Afro-Cuban rhythms with jazz harmony and arranging techniques, Afro-Cuban jazz, which was born here in New York City.
There you go.
In 1938, 39, with the Machito Afro-Cubans in Spanish Harlem.
So
and that sound came to the South Bronx. And as Pam said, and as you said, many people don't realize the great impact of the Cuban community here in the Bronx, particularly the South Bronx. Artists like Julito Collazo, who was the first person to bring the religious African-based bata drums that came from the Yoruba people in Nigeria to Cuba during the colonial period.
Listen, we could go on. I don't want, Bobby, I don't want to run out of time.
Sure.
I'm very excited about you are starting a Latin jazz ensemble for students age 14 to 18. One of the most, I said it to you, one of the most exciting projects I could think of that Bobby Sanabria is going to be working with young people.
Yes, that's at the Bronx Music Hall. So anybody that's interested in auditioning from that age group, it's a high-level ensemble. So it's not for beginners. It's for already,
somewhat accomplished.
And if they want to audition, go to bronxmusichall.org, and it's by video submission. So you can go there, and it'll be on Sunday afternoons at the Bronx Music Hall.
And you all different instruments, right? Wind instruments.
It'll be a full big band, yeah. So it'll be for saxophones, trumpets, and trombones, and full rhythm section. Congas, bongo, timbales, drum set, piano, bass, guitar, etc.
I wonder who in the Bronx is capable of putting together an ensemble like that.
Well, if anybody,
I said that sarcastically. Yeah,
if anyone can do it, it's me.
It's you.
All my
listen. The other thing I got was a list of dance classes. Yawuza will be teaching Ghanaian dance. Juan Yusera joins the staff to teach Puerto Rican bamba on Tuesdays. I'm going to mispronounce this. Janae Sure returns with monthly Afro-Cuban Orisho workshops.
Right.
Bobby, what does this say about what the Bronx Music Hall does and how does it view our borough of the Bronx?
Well, basically, we are the borough of music, and in terms of the things that we do in popular music today, come from the African diaspora, and that's why we were having these classes dealing with Afro-Puerto Rican bomba, Afro-Cuban Orisha dance, and Ghanaian drum and vocal and dance workshops that we're having. So go to bronxmusichall.org and you can get more information about those classics. And we also have offering a salsa mambo dance class for seniors as well. So please come to the Bronx Music Hall, the place for all.
This is a dream come true to celebrate all of our cultures in the borough of the Bronx and do it through music. We're preaching to the choir around here. Pam, what's next? We got about 30 seconds. What do you got next? What's coming up? Or you haven't figured it out yet after going through all this?
Well, just encourage everyone to come out on Saturday at 6 p.m. at the Bronx Music Hall. We're having the film. We're having a panel discussion on Black Stories, Enduring Voices, moderated by the Afro-Latino Forum. And having a set by Bobby Sanabria and so what else would you like to do on a Saturday?
Listen, I spent my Saturday night last weekend at as Bobby knows, the Bronx Music Hall for a beautiful reggae film, and it was just fantastic. The sound and the video at the Bronx Music Hall is A1, and that's important. Bobby Sanabria, thank you so much for everything. We'll continue doing what we do.
Thank you. We'll see you on Saturday at the place for Bronx Music Hall with Cuban Roots, Bronx Stories, and yours truly with my sexteto y piano. We'll do a whole panorama of Cuban music from 1930 all the way up to today.
Beautiful.
So today, after the film and panel.
We got to run. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Bobby. Also, in our first segment, thank you to Jeff Colton from Politico. And that's going to do it. You know what we always say, if the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, we'll be back next week. Good night.